Hello guys and welcome back in this new video where we're going to talk about array with C++. Array can be defined as a compounder type of data structure where all elements are of the same type and each can be accessed directly. Let's say that we have the test score of 1000 students. We can use a variable that we talked about on the previous video to define the integer test score for each one of them. But you should be right with me that it's going to be more painful to have integer test score for student number 1 until student number 1000, right? So in this case, what we can do is should be easily to implement, for example, an arrays with a scale or with a size of 1000 and just use each indexes for each student. I mean a array for 1000 minus 1 because a array is going to start most of the time or every time with the index 0. Okay, so we just want to define an array moving from 0 to 99, and we should be good to store our score of each student from student 1 to student 1000. Also, when we talk about array, you have to know that array has a fixed size. So once you have defined a size of an array in your program, there is no way to make it increase in volume or add some places. Only if you come back on your program and you redefine the size of your array. The first element of array is always at index 0 and the last element at index size minus 1. We always initialize arrays before to use it, and the best practice to access each element of array or to display each element of array when we want to do it on the long when we want to display a lot of elements should be to use the loop over the array and process every element. We're going to talk later in this area about loop and so on. The syntax of array declaration. So the syntax of an array is first element type, array names, and finally in the bracket constant number of elements. Okay, so that's why for the test score, for example, here you can see that we have integer, which is the type, test score, which is the name of our array, the constant number of our array, which is 10 here. Okay, and normally we can initialize. Okay, we can initialize it and finally drop our semicolon. Okay, so I've provided a couple cases here where I want to come back soon. Okay, so how to access a specific element of an array? We're just going to use the command name of the array and put in the bracket the number of the index. This should allow us to access that element at the specific index. So let's come back right now on our IDE with CodeLight. Okay, so we have our CodeLight here. We have our program here that I've called arrays. We're gonna have our main function defined, and first I'm starting by defining my arrays. My first array is test score array that I've talked about a couple seconds ago. So this test score array initialized to 1, 2, and 8, and the remaining is the remaining to 0. Okay, so that means that on the 10 element size, the three first elements have been defined, and when you initialize like that, automatically the remaining move to 0. Okay, so on the next case here, integer score per level, I just put the empty bracket, and after that I've defined my initialize with the size of my array. So when I'm writing like that, the compiler gonna understand that I've defined the size of my array with this initializing process, since that one is 0. So it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 should be the size uh, of this array automatically. Okay, so size is automatically calculated when I provide it like that. Okay, so on the next one, I've defined first the integer constant day in years to 366. Okay, and after that, I've created the array, the array from the type double, name I temperatures, and inside the bracket, I've dropped the variable that I've defined, the constant variable that I've defined before, and I just initialize it to 0. When I do that, everything, okay, init all to 0. So this one gonna initialize everything on my 366 index to 0 automatically. Okay, so we're gonna try to move forward and try to display a couple stuff right now. Okay, let's see how the test score at index 1 is test score 1. Okay, for example, so we're going to use it to access the element at index 1 on text score. Okay, so normally when we're going to launch our program, you should see for index 1 here, this is index 0, index 1. Index 1 should be 2. Okay, so we're going to work through everything before to build, compile, and execute our program. The next one asks, see out the highest score at level 3 is highest score per level 3. Okay, in bracket 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So normally the output here should be 6. Okay, after that, so this is a little bit how you can proceed to output an element value on your array. Now we're going to see how to assign a value to a specific index on our array. Okay, so for example, right there, I'm going to say text index, text score index 2 equal to 85. Before that, it was 2. Okay, index 2 was 8. So when I'm going to see out again here, you're going to see that I'm going to see out that index 2 again here. Okay, you're going to see that it's going to change to 85. Okay, or I can say that it's index 1 here simply to make my code similar. So you're going to see that when I'm going to change over there and display right there, the index 1 now is not going to be 2 anymore, but it's going to be show 85. The same for this one. I score per level at index 3 is now 60. So I've assigned the value of index 3 now to 60. So when I'm going to see out here, okay, you are not going to see anymore 6 but 60. Okay, so after that, how to process every element on an array. Okay, so if I want to display a lot of element index on my array, the best practice should be to use a for loop that you're going to see pretty soon in this series. So I can say for in I equals 0 with I less than 10, increment I, and I'm going to see out element at index I and just provide the text code, the text score I in bracket. Okay, so this is the best practice to display automatically each element on my array. Okay, so after that, I'm going to do the same for I score per level array. Okay, so I'm going to try to display uh, I've defined I less than 8 here, but my I score per level normally is I score per level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's just 7. So I'm going to use 7 right there. Okay, less than 7 because the first index is 0. Okay, so for I score per level, I'm going to say for integer I equals 0, I less than 7, increment I, and I'm going to see out element at index I, colon, I score per level, index I. So this one going to display all the element of this array. Okay, so for item, I've changed a couple stuff. Normally I have 366 indexes, but I just gonna display the 5 first indexes here. Okay, so for integer I equal to 0 and I less to 5, increment I. Okay, so I just gonna have the 5 first element here. Normally the 5 first element for this one should be 050, right? Since we init every element to 0. Okay, so after I do that, we have our return 0 here. So everything looks pretty good. I'm gonna compile this first. Okay, so I can make a right click here and just rebuild it. So the rebuild process should compile and build my code and make it executable um, by our system. Okay, so we have 0 error and 0 running, right? So we're going to run our code right now. I'm going to make Control F5. This is a shortcut, and click on execute. So you're going to see that you're going to have exactly the output that I was talking about. So here the highest score at level 3 is 60. Okay, so the highest score at level 3 is 60 because you understand it's exactly what I was waiting for. Okay, so element at index 0 is 1, element at index 1 is 85, element at index 2 is 8. So you remember this change that I proceed uh, almost at the end of my code, right? So you see everything looks exactly how I've defined them. And over there, you can see for I score per 11, the index 3 is 60. Okay, and about the eye temperature, I have the 5 first element and all of them are 0. Okay, so that's a little bit it about array. I hope that you understand everything about array right now, but I think that I've tried to explain all the basic concepts about array. So if you have learned something new, give a thumbs up and like this video, and make sure to watch the next video on vector that is coming after that one. See you soon. Bye.